And this might shock some people, Dorin. I'm going to come out. I'm going to defend Kenny Pickett a little bit here. I do think there's an element of weak sauce and take your ball and go home with it here. I do. Given what we heard about what happened in Seattle last year, it all sort of makes sense. His teammates were openly campaigning to get Russell Wilson in here. Like, clearly things had not worked out. On the field, things weren't working out necessarily in the locker room, and he has to wear the responsibility for that in some way, shape, and form. But I got to be fair and honest. That's what we're paid to do. I also understand why the hell Kenny Pickett would want to get out of here. Like, I'm not giving any credence to any of this. I've even debated bringing it up, and I'm not going to go into detail here, but it's not like people don't know this. There have been terrible rumors about Kenny Pickett, about his family that were out there. You know, I think it surfaced on Reddit, and then it was thrown around, which is just ridiculous. It had a very Cordell Stewart element to it. He hadn't played well for 2 years. I don't think the Steelers handled it well, really, from the start. I think the Steelers told him he was going to be the starting quarterback this year and that someone would come in and compete. But I don't think he thought it would be a player of the ilk of a Russell Wilson. And so because it's so toxic, because of the way that they've handled Kenny Pickett, he wanted out of here. I don't blame him for that. I don't know how anybody could blame him for that. And you'll have some who will say there's a right way to handle it and there's a wrong way to handle it. This was a toxic situation. And I know in my life, if I'm in a toxic situation, I want to do my best if I have any power to get out of it. He had the power and the ability to get out of it by forcing his hand, by forcing the Steelers' hand. He did. I can't blame him for it, man. I really can't.
There's a right way to do things, and there's a wrong way to do things, and I think both sides met, and this was the right thing to do. I think the Steelers did right by Kenny by letting him basically pick where he wanted to go, and obviously he wanted to go home, close to his family, to a team that he grew up watching, even if it is to sit behind a quarterback, the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles for maybe a year or whatever, or be a backup quarterback to kind of reset, to rethink things. Like, the communication was off. He was put in a bad situation. The situation he was put in whenever he got his opportunities, he didn't fulfill those opportunities and just didn't go out there and make enough plays. So it's really 50-50. If you really, really want to get down to it, it's 50-50. And then they made that come together, and we're like, okay, where do you want to go? Because we're moving into a different direction. We may have said that we weren't, but that was that was a month ago. That was a month ago. The NFL changes every single second.
I mean, look at what's happened the last 7 days.
Exactly. That was a month ago, Kenny, and this is where we're at. We got to do what's best for our franchise, and what we think is best for our franchise right now is to go to a different direction at the quarterback position. We would love to have you around so you could compete. We still believe that you can do good things in the NFL, but if you feel like you need to go, we're going to honor that. And they did.
What I had heard, and we talked about it earlier in the show, is that there was a similar offer from New Orleans for Kenny Pickett. And Kenny said he wanted to go to Philly, and the Steelers did honor that. And so it's not like Deontay where they ship him off to Carolina. Good riddance. Oh, you want to go to the Chiefs? Oh, there's a good deal on the table for the Chiefs? Nah, sorry, we're sending your ass to Carolina. It's not like that with Kenny Pickett. And I'm looking at the text line right now, and some guy named Jake texts in, F Kenny Pickett. The people who are most likely to say that are the ones who didn't like Kenny to begin with. Mm-hmm. So shouldn't you be happy that Kenny forced his hand? If you're one of the people now that says, this guy sucks, he took his ball and went home, it's the transfer portal mentality. If you're one of those, aren't you one of the people that wanted Justin Fields? Aren't you one of the people that wanted Russell Wilson anyway? So it doesn't really matter how you get where you get. But if you get there and you wanted to be there, that's what should matter for Steelers fans. If you wanted Russell Wilson, if you wanted Justin Fields, why do you got to kick a Kenny Pickett on the way out the door?